First Lady of Anambra State, Mrs. Ebele Obiano, has also come out to share her own side of the story a few days after she had a fight with Bianca Ojukwu during the swearing-in of the new Anambra State Governor, Governor Charles Soludo. Hello everyone, you're welcome to the news. In a statement released by her spokesperson, Ebele Obiano, the former Anambra First Lady narrated that the fight that took place at the swearing-in of Professor Charles Soludo was something that took her by surprise. She says she left her seat just to go and greet Bianca, but was surprised when she reacted by slapping her. She also noted that she didn't bother returning the slap, but she instead walked away in total disbelief as she wondered what brought so much anger and hate that will make a former diplomat to be unable to control herself in the public. Recall that Mrs. Ebele Obiano and Mrs. Bianca Ojukwu engaged in a fight that last week after the former Anambra First Lady left a seat to where Mrs. Bianca was seated. One thing led to the other, and Mrs. Bianca gave Ebele a slap. They have both come out to share their own sides of the story. So this is now the update coming from the other side, Mrs. Ebele Obiano. As you've seen in this channel, with videos shared earlier of how Mrs. Obiano walked majestically. Despite coming late to the swearing-in ceremony, she didn't sit beside her husband. She just walked into the venue and, walked straight towards where Mrs. Ojukwu was seated. And we could see the altercation that happened between the two women. The video was able to capture, well, not actually the actual slap from the angle popularly shared online, but we could see, the tussle between both women before the people around came and, tried to separate the fight. It got to a point where Mrs. Ojukwu said Mrs. Obiano, actually was poking at her on her shoulders, and she was warning her to stop doing that. And the moment Mrs. Obiano wanted to take off the head tie of Mrs. Ojukwu, that was when she said she stood up to defend herself by giving her a valedictory and dirtiest slap of the century ever received by the First Lady. Those who were seated around confirmed this story, that was exactly what happened, because the part that Mrs. Ojukwu was seated had a lot of people, and they confirmed that was exactly what happened. But now, Mrs. Ebele has come out days after the incident, almost the 5th day after, to narrate her own side of the story. So who is telling the truth, who is not telling the truth? But from what we could see from the video, it wasn't a friendly kind of greeting that was going to take place, because we could see, the way the ex-first lady was counting her step, doing, that kind of premeditated catwalking to where Mrs. Ojukwu was seated. And a lot of people have mentioned how Mrs. Ebele Obiano has been a temperamental woman. And we could see, even when she was going back to her seat, how her husband was pulling her to sit down, and she was yanking her husband's hand off. The man was utterly and totally embarrassed, in disbelief. And everybody could hear very clearly when she called Mrs. Ojukwu the B word. So that alone, at least the point where she went back to her seat and her husband was trying to placate her and she was yanking off his hand and mentioned the B word that you call a woman, And so I'm thinking somebody must be telling the truth and somebody must be economical with the truth. So which are we believing? It's there for you to determine and share your perspective on this. However, on a general note, it's actually not a pleasant sight to find two highly placed women fighting at a public function. However, when life happens and we tend to lose, our sense of decorum, of course, many people will share their perspective, and that is exactly what has happened online. However, to most people, they tilted towards the side of Mrs. Bianca Ojukwu, who is actually well respected, who, despite being from a privileged background and married into a privileged home as well, she has also done a lot for herself. And her own side of the scale is quite, heavier than Mrs. Ebele Obiano, who is just known to be a first lady, and who we are even yet to know about the laudable things she has done. So maybe it's the time for her to sing her own, to sound her own trumpet and talk about her own personal achievement. But everybody has known Bianca to be a very classy woman, despite a woman who, commands so much authority, even after the demise of her husband. People place her at a very high ranking as far as respect is concerned. However, we would actually not want to see this kind of fight again, because all we need now is for the society to move forward. And also specifically Anambra State, who have just had a change of leadership, and everybody is expecting so much from Professor Chukwuma Soludo, the newly sworn in governor of the state, who gave a very brilliant speech at the occasion. But because of the altercations between these two women, focus was shifted from the governor to the fight between these two highly placed women. What's your opinion on this? Who do you believe? Please share your beautiful and constructive comments in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next news. Bye for now.